President of the Middle East Policy Council and a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic Council. Gina, hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, well, we're forced to speculate again because nobody knows, but someone's mistaken here. Trump says they're negotiating and they say they're not. What do you think's happening?
Well, I think, like many, I'd probably put a little bit more trust in what the Iranians are saying in this case. There's an Hebrew term, haspara, propaganda, and both sides are using it, hopefully to good effect for their aims. President Trump definitely wanted to calm the markets. He has done so. He just pushed it back till Friday when the markets close. And so he has left himself a couple of days, if he does decide to strike, to see whether there's an impact over the weekend before the markets open again. So we should see this as a delay. The Iranians, on their part, are saying it's not happening. And we have to keep in mind the Iranians have put forward conditions for ending the war, just as the United States has.
So do we take this then as an impasse, as you've put there, or do we imagine that there are some back channels between the Iranians and the Americans?
Yeah, there's certainly efforts to establish functional back channels. In addition to whatever the White House, and we've read that there has been a proposal from the American side to have talks with Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Parliament in Iran, and Vice President Vance, with the Turks acting as negotiators, mediators. And so that proposal is out there. I suspect that the Iranians are recognizing they have a little bit of leverage right now, and they do have conditions. Certainly one of them is ironclad guarantees that there will be no more attacks from the United States and Israel. It would be surprising if they entered into negotiations without something really strong waiting for them at the other end, because the United States has proved twice not to be reliable or truthful when entering into negotiations. Twice in the midst of, we've bombed them. So the Iranians wisely should be reticent.
The best card in their hand, if I can put it that way, is their control over the Strait of Hormuz. Has that? Do you think that surprised them as much as Trump, in the sense that they've been left to it? Really, it's almost as though that's not been factored into the American calculations when they decided to attack.
I do not think they were surprised, and there are many in the region who were not surprised. Our Gulf allies certainly were largely advocating against starting the war. They understood very well that they would bear the brunt of the Iranian attacks because they host U.S. bases, because several of them are now allies of the Israelis, and therefore to be considered fair game. The Strait of Hormuz is one that has long been understood to be de facto under Iran's control, just based on geography. While the U.S. military has done a superb job of eliminating much of the Iranian Navy, much of their military capability, it has not wiped out all of it. And the ability, because where we are now, frankly, is asymmetric warfare. The Iranians cannot combat us on the same level that Israel and the United States, the two most powerful nations militarily in the world, the Iranians cannot compete.
So where does all this leave us then, Gina, going forward? It's become quite obvious that if the Iranians continue to militarily control the Strait of Hormuz, then the world is in dire straits. And as we heard from our correspondent Lisa Doucette in the news, you would imagine a lot of the Gulf states were talking to Trump over the past 24, 48 hours, saying, if you go for energy infrastructure, they're going to come for ours. So who's got the advantage at the moment? And where does Donald Trump go next if the Iranians don't back down? I mean, I imagine he's assuming they will.
Yes, he may well be assuming that, but this from the beginning has shown, unfortunately, a lack of expertise on Iranians, on Iran. Iran is not Venezuela. They don't have the same history, they don't have the same geography, and they certainly don't have the same proximity to the United States. They have every reason to hold out as long as necessary. And the United States does not have that same impetus, certainly not the United States homeland. So, I'm not a betting woman, but President Trump does have the ability to declare victory based on the military accomplishments that he said he wanted to accomplish. He has not got rid of the entire nuclear program, but perhaps once negotiations are opened legitimately, and the Iranians are asking for compensation for the damage done during the war. So again, they have asks as well. I believe that there is the opportunity because President Trump and the American people do not want this war to go on for a long time. And the American people from the beginning have not even supported the attacks on Iran as far as the majority of American citizens are concerned.
Okay, in a nutshell, you're saying in 5 days' time we may have Trump declaring victory here and the Iranian regime declaring victory there, saying that we're still here and we're going nowhere.
We could have that, or another attack.
The final question, the doomsday scenario, what if Iran persists and say we ain't reopening that Strait of Hormuz? Then what does Trump do next? They call in his bluff, essentially.
Well, he's got increasing numbers of countries who understand and need that oil, willing to participate in opening the Straits of Hormuz or simply getting ships through it. But that could be by negotiation, not by sending ships or military forces to the strait. I think in negotiations and diplomacy is going to close this out.
Okay, all right, Gina. Interesting. You said you took Iran's word over Trump. We'll see how it all ends in 5 days. Maybe we'll speak again.
Okay, I'd look forward to it.
Cheers, Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley there who's a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic